Okay, this topic gets me fired up. I have been sitting with this one for a while. If you've been around for a while, I've kind of talked about this, but I've never recorded a Pugs episode about it. And I've really not said this out loud. So there is a narrative that is floating around when it comes to losing the weight, if you want to lose the weight, if you want to edit your habits, if you want to rebrand your entire life, you are somehow abandoning yourself. Like doing a complete overhaul of who you are is a bad thing. And that changing too much means that you're going to somehow like lose yourself. And real talk, I'm going to be so real with you guys. I hate this message. There's not a lot of things that I'm just like so outright like I hate that. I hate this messaging. I have hated it since the beginning of my own weight loss journey. And when I became a coach and I started helping women transform their lives, I really had to like kind of talk about this to my clients. And that's why I wanted to bring it to the show, because the version of you who has been stuck, the version of you who can't seem to get past gaining and losing the same 5 to 10 pounds, the one that has been trying and quitting and then trying again for like some of you, like a whole decade, right? Like that version of you is not sacred, right? Like, can I just be honest with you? I am going to be honest with you guys. That is not the kind of woman that we should want to preserve. And so I'm here to tell you, you're not abandoning her, but you are leaving her behind. And there is a huge difference. And that's what I want to talk about. I think that this idea of becoming unrecognizable starts to be like a villain in a weight loss story, but becoming unrecognizable should be the goal. That should be the goal. Okay, so let's get into this, okay? Where I get a little bit frustrated with this is that everyone acts like editing yourself and becoming unrecognizable is some sort of terrible thing. And I will literally never forget, at the very start of my weight loss journey, 23-year-old little old me, 36 now, you guys. I'm officially on the second half of my mid-30s, right? So little 23-year-old me, new mom, new baby, had gained all of this weight, was so uncomfortable in her body and had never had healthy habits anyways, okay? I will never forget the person who said to me, who had the best heart and loved me for me and was a true friend, okay, said to me though, okay, I understand you want to lose the weight. This is like after I've started to kind of make some changes, but I was also very new to it. Like I was still in the phase of kind of feeling like imposter syndrome and really doubting, could I even do? I had not proven much to myself at all. So I'm like already doubting myself, having a crisis about, so much of like what I'm going through to start this weight loss journey. That's what she said. Don't lose yourself. How many of you can relate to this? Have you ever had somebody in your life who is well-meaning, loving, supportive? Also, let's just talk about the uncomfortable truth that sometimes people are saying this and they're really not the most loving and supportive people, but they say this, just don't lose yourself, right? And I'm sitting there and I'm receiving this message and I'm thinking, but which self are we talking about? Are we talking about the self who orders Mexican takeout, like 2 entrees at 9 p.m. because I'm too tired and I just need a comfort meal because I've had a stressful day? Is that the one we're talking about? That self? The one who is completely avoiding having my picture made, wanting to, go out and be social with my friends, is that the self that we're talking about not losing? How about the self who has been trying at losing weight and feeling good in her body for the last, I don't know how long at that point, like since I was a teen, like a preteen, pretty much, like the version of myself who has just always wanted to feel good like that. Like you want me to lose that version of myself, the one who has, inconsistent habits, who makes these big promises and sets these lofty goals and then completely throws it all out the window by Wednesday and is inconsistent and flaky and unreliable, like that version of me. You want me like, don't lose that self? Or the version of me who, has 3 safe outfits, like only 3 things in the closet that I can wear. And I'm just rotating through them constantly because I don't feel good in my body, who sits on the sidelines. Like be so for real. Which one of these for you are you afraid to lose, right? Like, why are we so afraid to lose ourselves when these versions of ourselves are not our best. Like, truly, why would we preserve that? I was so confused in the moment hearing this. And let's just call the obvious, okay? Obviously, I think what people mean when they say this is like, don't become so obsessed with your looks. I mean, right? Like, who knows what people mean? But like, don't become so obsessed with your looks. Don't, start obsessing over this goal maybe. Don't lose your personality. But I've never understood. I've never understood. Because why does taking care of myself have to mean that I'm no longer going to be funny, that I'm no longer going to be a good friend, that I'm no longer going to care about my kid, my family, being a mom? Again, when I started my weight loss journey, the habits that I had were awful. Like, I don't know why I have to like try to talk nice about there's nothing nice to say. Reminder, before I got pregnant, I was the most unhealthy person, smoker, chain smoker, lived on energy drinks and fast food and alcohol. I was a college kid, completely sedentary, no exercise, flaky, could not be consistent at all, constantly abandoning my goals and myself. Yes, like my truest self, the version of me who obviously is me at my core, who loves my family and all that. Of course, I'm not going to change her, but by telling me like, oh, just don't lose yourself. Like, it was so confusing, especially as a young mom, especially as somebody who was just starting this journey and desperately needed to change. I didn't want to preserve that version of myself who, even after the pregnancy, had gained that significant amount of weight. I found myself eating my feelings, stress eating, emotional eating, overeating to numb, and just, again, like abandoning myself, setting these goals. Well, I'm going to start exercising. And then I never did it. Like, there wasn't much that I wanted to preserve because that version of me wasn't great. Now, were there parts of me? Again, of course, yes. The parts of me that my personality, loving, but who says that all of that has to go away? Why, when you decide to take care of yourself, you decide to start losing the weight, would any of that go away anyways? So we're not preserving her. We're graduating away from her. That's always how I kind of saw it, right? It's like going through school. You go through school and then you graduate, whether you go on to college, whether you go on to stepping into your career, whatever you do, you're leaving behind the version of yourself that you were when you were in school. Same thing with a weight loss journey. She does not get to come with you. That is like the whole point. So I want to put this another way because I always think back to that moment when this was, being said to me, and again, all from love. But I remember thinking, but what I do now is toxic, the habits I have. And I want to say this because a lot of women who listen to my show, you already exercise, you already do things, you eat healthy and things like that to take care of yourself. But if you're not at your goal, if you're not in your dream body, if you're not where you want to be, if you know that you don't follow through and you don't keep the promises that you make to yourself, if you have a goal and you have not reached it and you're constantly flip-flopping on it, 1 foot in the door, 1 foot out, not committed, not consistent, all of that, then you don't have to have the same story I had where I was starting from terrible, absolutely terrible, all the things I just listed, okay? You can have made changes and have some of these healthy habits and still know that you need to completely rebrand and become unrecognizable in order to reach that goal, right? So the way that I was thinking about this when she said it was I have these toxic habits because at this point I had made some changes, right? I'd already kind of started and I'm like, there's more. There's a lot more that I have to change, specifically like boredom eating and overeating and all of this and, not following through on working out and goals that I was setting, right? The habits that I was working on. And so I'm looking at all of these toxic habits. And I'm like, this is the part that I want you guys to hear, okay? If your best friend was in a toxic relationship, what would you tell her? Leave? Get out? He's not the one? You deserve more? Nobody, and I mean nobody, would say, babe, don't abandon him. He's a part of who you are. So why do we do this with our habits? You're door dashing 3 nights a week when you know that you shouldn't be. That's a toxic relationship. That like 9 p.m. pantry raid where you're like eating fistfuls of chips and chocolate chips and whatever sweet you can get your hands on. Toxic relationship. The whole, oh, I messed up, I'll just start again on Monday. Toxic relationship. Throwing everything away, abandoning because the scale popped up or it's not doing exactly what you want it to. Toxic relationship. That all or nothing cycle, that pattern that you're in. Toxic relationship. And these habits, all those things that I just listed and whatever else, because there's so much more that we could say. I could sit here and give a whole list of examples of how you have a toxic relationship with these things, right? You are dating these habits. Whether you want to look at it that way or not, that's what you're doing. You are dating these habits, and those habits are trash. I said I was going to come honest. I'm going to come honest. Those habits are trash. You would leave a trash boyfriend in a second. So why are you still with your trash habits? And here's the other part that I think really needs to be said. This is what clicked for me in my mind when she's saying all this. I'm like, this is like a toxic relationship that I'm in with these habits. They drag me down. They beat me up. They keep me small. They keep me unhappy. Like these habits are not good for me. And this is what I want you to hear. The habits, the trash habits, they do not love you. They have never loved you and they never will. They're just a comfort zone. That's it. Why do people stay in a bad relationship? Comfort. Same thing. The only thing that these habits, these trash habits, these toxic habits do, the only thing that they do is keep you stuck in a version of yourself who feels like her body is the one thing she cannot crack. Because I know the women who come into my world, listen to my show, follow me on social. You are smart, you are successful, you can absolutely crush goals. But why? This is the one thing you can't figure out, right? Your body, your nutrition. Just can't be consistent with it. Just can't ever seem to get the results. Can't seem to get it going. Can't stay motivated enough. It's because you are staying stuck in a version of yourself in a toxic relationship with habits that do not serve you. So we have to leave them. And I can remember having that sort of like in my mind thinking, why would anybody make you feel bad for wanting to be better, for wanting to level up, right? Like it almost doesn't even make sense. And here's the reframe that I want you to sit with. And that I'm just going to be blunt and honest about. Becoming unrecognizable is the goal, not just to other people, right? Like who are watching this go down, to yourself. I want my clients to wake up. I want you to wake up in a year and I want you to not recognize the woman that you were 12 months ago. That is the goal. I want you to wake up a year from 6 months from now. And I want you to say things like, I would never do that anymore. That is not who I am anymore. That is the goal. That's not scary. That's not tragic. Oh my gosh, how could we abandon ourselves? That's the goal. That is the whole point. The woman who gets there, who finally loses this weight, who finally feels good in her body and knows how to maintain it, who is living in her dream body, mind, and life, she is moving differently. She is unrecognizable. She has different defaults and standards, right? Like I just want you to stop and think about it. The woman who has what you want has different standards for what she will tolerate with herself and what's around her, her environment, different responses to the exact same triggers. Because guess what? The kids are still going to be in sports and after school activities. You're still going to travel. Your job is still going to be stressful. Your husband's still going to get on your nerves and you're still going to have emotional period cycle hormone moments and you're still going to get sick sometimes and the kids are going to get sick and there's going to be holidays and you're going to feel stressed and you're going to want to stress eat and all of those triggers are still going to be the same. That's not going anywhere. None of that's going away. I'm here to tell you right now, none of that is going away. You are still going to have all of those triggers, but the version of you who has the dream body, she responds differently to them. That's being unrecognizable. That's completely rebranding. She eats different food. She has a different mindset. She has a different relationship to scrolling on her phone, watching everybody else reach their goals, feeling resentful while she does nothing. She has a different morning routine. She has a different sense of self. Like, right? Right? I know you're clocking what I'm saying. She's not this like version of you right now who just somehow miraculously figured out willpower. I think this is what most women are doing that have not reached their goals, but say that they want it, but constantly feel stuck, is they're thinking, well, it's going to be this version of me, but I will have figured out willpower. I will have figured out consistency. No, the version of yourself who has the goal, isn't staying stuck in the same toxic cycle, is a completely different woman. And she is inside of you right now. She is begging you, screaming for you to just let her out. But I think that we have to stop playing into this narrative, whether it's from society, whether it's from our friends, our coworkers, our family, that it's bad to change. When would we ever think that it's bad to change toxic habits, right? Like I just keep coming back to it. It's so funny. I just was having a conversation with one of my clients. I'm going to be anonymous and private about this, but essentially, and I have this conversation with clients all the time. This is nothing new. I've literally, since the beginning, I started coaching it'll be a decade ago now. So 10 years of doing this, I've seen this time and time again. And she was asking about her coworkers she was asking for coaching around her coworkers commenting on the fact that she's bringing her lunch and she's changed her lunch. And again, I see this all the time. Clients will go out with friends and they'll order differently. Or coworkers, I think, are especially because they see you every day and like they really notice when something changes. And she's asking, how do I keep my mindset strong around this? And I was like, girl, I'm celebrating this. Okay. I know that you're feeling some type of way and it's kind of emotional and like you're upset about it, but like, I'm celebrating this. If people in your life are noticing that you're doing something different, that means you're following the program. If no one sees that you're changing anything, I fear you're not changing enough. I fear you're not changing enough if people aren't noticing. So people noticing, people being uncomfortable, people making you feel weird that you ordered the salad, that you brought your lunch from home, that is the goal. You are meant to become unrecognizable because the version of you who is stuck in her body, who is stuck constantly being inconsistent and saying she's going to do it, but then doesn't follow through, that version of you cannot come with you. So you have to become unrecognizable. So people noticing is worth celebrating. It means you're doing it. And what I told her is a whole lot, starting with that. We could get into why other people say these things, how it can be a reflection to them, how people don't like when other people change, and it's human nature. They're not bad. It's not because they don't want good for you. Human nature, it is uncomfortable. Your spouse sometimes, like this can happen where they're like, what, you're changing? It's just, it's uncomfortable. Change is hard. And so that's their problem. That's not your problem. You're an adult woman who wants to change her life, who wants to change her body, who wants to shift her mindset, who wants to become unrecognizable. Am I wrong? Am I wrong? You want to become unrecognizable. So you're going to have to be okay with the fact that not everybody's going to understand. Not everybody's going to be on board. At first, I told her what I tell everybody. It's just because it's new. A month from now, they're not even going to be talking about this, okay? No one's going to bring it up every single day for the rest of forever. And you got to stand convicted because that's how you're going to get through. So you have to know what you're doing. You have to know that somebody might say to you, oh, just don't change too much. And you have to go, okay, all right. Deep down knowing becoming unrecognizable is actually the goal. It's actually the goal. I want you to just think about, name for me one meaningful change, meaningful life change that doesn't involve becoming unrecognizable, right? You leave a bad marriage, you kind of rebrand after that, right? You change careers, even just jobs. You kind of rebrand with that. Start a business, you rebrand. You get sober, you rebrand. You move across the country, you rebrand. Becoming a mother is my favorite example of this. Literally the biggest rebrand of your life. Did anyone tell you after you had a baby, just don't lose yourself? When you had your first baby, don't lose yourself. No. Weight loss is the exact same as that. The habits have to change, just like they do when you become a mother. The environment has to change. The identity has to change. The story that you tell yourself has to change. The woman that you show up as has to change. It all gets rebrand. And it is not something to protect against and, I just need to hold on to my old self. You're going to have to drop that. You're going to have to drop that. If you are somebody who is clinging to, I just don't want to change too much because somebody has made you feel bad, or maybe there is somebody in your life that you know changed after they lost weight, right? People change when they get new jobs, they move, right? You have to know in your heart who you are, and that the loving version, the mother, the friend, the wife, or, significant other, or whoever you are in your life doesn't have to change at its core, while also knowing that you are rebranding the parts of yourself. You are getting unrecognizable in the parts of yourself that you know no longer serve you. That is the whole point of doing the work. So stop resisting it. Stop resisting it and lean in. Lean in. Has anything to say? That's on them. That's for them to work out. You are not going to get to the end of your life and be thinking about how, thank goodness, I, kept myself small and safe so I didn't upset Sharon. Sorry for my Sharons. I hate when I pull out a name and then I'm thinking, dang it, I can already think of like 2 or 3 Sharons. Okay, no shade to Sharon, but they're not thinking about you with their change. I can promise you the people who are the loudest will go and change their whole life. In fact, here's a great one. This is a good one. I had a client a few years ago, got a little flack, was feeling, a little bit of heat from somebody in her life, kind of making her feel, some type of way about her changing. And we're not just talking about like the pounds lost in the body changing, right? We're adults. We all understand. Like when you start changing who you are and you start showing up for yourself and you start moving differently, can be like a threat to people, right? So with that, she had started to do that. And this, person in her life gave her a little flag, was kind of bringing it up, being kind of hateful. It kind of caused a wedge between them. But so proud of my client because she kept going in the direction that she knew she needed to, and really left in a lot of ways like the toxic friendship of this. But then that person went on to lose weight and make those same changes. I'm like, she's like, wait a second, hold on. I was allowed to. The point is, the person who might be giving you heat could decide tomorrow that they're going to completely change something about their life. They're not going to ask you for permission. They're not going to be worried about come on. They're not going to be worried about what you think. Why are you worried about what anybody else thinks? This is for you. This is for you. So sometimes I talk about this and people are like, I don't really have anybody in my life that, would make me feel bad. Oftentimes we don't even recognize that we're keeping ourselves small and we're not fully leaning in because there's just a fear that it could happen. It doesn't mean that there's necessarily somebody who is going to say something, or sometimes it's just like, oh, I don't even know that I want the attention from having rebranded. I don't even know that I want to change these habits because they're comfortable, right? So it doesn't always have to be the outside person. It could just be your own self. So even if it's not somebody else, you have to have the conversation. Sometimes you're the person. Sometimes you're the person who's saying, oh, but we don't really want to change too much. And that's the real conversation, right? That's the hardest one of all to address. Because guess who's telling you this? And guess who's also saying, but we do want to change. And wow, that really messes with your mind. When you stop and think about it, oh, I really, really, really want to change, but also I don't want to change too much because it's not really comfortable. And this means I have to get outside of my comfort zone. It means I have to show up when I don't feel like it. It means I have to change these habits, and I can't emotional eat and comfort eat anymore. And I can't do this and do that. And it's just like this mental tug of war that so many women are stuck in. How do you break out to the other side? You stop resisting the change. She can't come with you. She is not someone to protect. It all gets rebranded. That is the point of the work that you're doing. So I wanted to talk to you about that today. I know somebody needs to hear it. And if any of this is hitting you right now and you're like, okay, yeah, I need this. This is where I'm going to tell you about the free guide, okay? So we're mid-year at the point that this episode is coming out. And even if we are outside of, you're listening to this later, this could apply anytime, but it is my favorite time to do a bit of like an edit, audit, rebrand, whatever you want to call it. And I always kind of come up with something. And this year I wanted to create a guide. I think I said this at the beginning of the episode. It's been 30 minutes, so now I don't remember. So bear with me. I created this guide for you guys, and I filled mine out last week. My clients were filling theirs out, and we've all been sharing, and so many of you have grabbed this free resource and messaged me on social to let me know. I'm so excited. So excited. I wish I had my copy in here. I don't think I do. I think it's in the bedroom. That's where I was working on it. I made Dave fill it out with me. Do this with your significant other, your best friend, okay? This is totally free. So I call this guide the mid-year edit. It's 18 pages, and it walks you through the 3 areas of your life to edit right now. This is the cornerstone of Goal Body, right? If you ever hear me talk about it, body, mind, and life. This is what we are changing. This is linked in the show notes. This is what my clients come in, the work that we do together, and the work that I want you to do as well. So these 3 areas, starting with the body edit, okay? So this is looking at what you're actually eating, right? Like editing the things that you are doing when it comes to your nutrition, when it comes to your fitness. And I want you, in fact, I'm going to just pull this up. You know what? Why sit here and talk about it? I've literally got the icon right here. So here we go. Bear with me, you guys. I should have just pulled it up to begin with. So I want you to grab this. It has you do an honest edit, okay? Move myself around here. A quick assessment to honestly hold up a mirror to you with some questions. Things like, have you been consistent with how you're eating, or have you been cycling between on and off? Do you actually know how much you're eating? Have you tracked consistently? Or are you guessing? Or are you doing it some of the time, but not all the time, right? No, not when I, ate cheese fries over the weekend and didn't want to log the, ice cream that I ate and all the things, right? So, are you eating enough protein and fiber? And there's all these questions around when things go sideways and, are you moving your body in a way that supports your goals? So it has you do this honest edit, and it gives you 3 things to lock in on in order to sort of edit your body. And then it gets into the mind. And there's all these pages for you to write on and really make this your own, because this is going to really be for you, and it's going to be individual. Everybody's edit is going to be different. But when it comes to the mind edit, it gets into the biggest work that I do inside of Goal Body, which is the identity side of things. Who did you say you were going to become this year? And who have you actually been, right? Are you living like the woman that you said you were going to be? And what is one thing that the woman that you want to become does every single day that you're not currently doing? So a full identity check-in, and the stories that you're telling yourself and the shifts to make right now. I literally give you the things. I love the reflection prompt in this section, because it says, if I kept living the next 6 months exactly like the last 6, where will I be in January 2027, right? Now, write down where you actually want to be. So what's the track record? How's it going? Where you actually want to be, and what is the gap? What is the gap? So it really just has you get crystal clear on all of this. And again, there's sheets for you to journal and just spill it all. And then the life edit. So looking at your systems, the life side of this is a huge component for so many women. Is your morning just, you're rolling out of bed and hoping that you stay on track for the day, or do you have a plan, right? Are you reactive and behind, or are you taking charge of your day? Are you in control with your environment, the food that's in your house? And do you plan your week? And what do you do when things fall apart? And how are you protecting your energy? So a full systems audit for you, and even how to sort of rebuild your systems. So I really want you guys to grab this guide, especially if this episode spoke to you. It is totally free. It is linked at the top of the show notes. And I want you to get this, and I want you to get to work on editing. And one more thing before we wrap up. Of course, if you listened to this episode and you know in your gut that another free download is not going to get you to where you need to be, and you know that you need support, and you know that you need accountability, and you know that you need structure and guidance, and to actually feel invested so that you can actually make the changes, then you already know you don't have to do this alone, and you can step into Goal Body coaching with me, where I am walking you through this, supporting you through this, and ensuring that in 6 months, you look back and you say, I don't even do those things anymore, right? Like I said in the episode, I want you to get to the end of 6 months and go, I don't even recognize that woman anymore. That is the goal. Goal Body Coaching is the door into my world, into doing this work together. And the application will also be linked in the show notes underneath the mid-year edit guide. And again, the old you, the version of you that you know needs to go, that you know you need to leave behind, that you know cannot come with you, you can drop her and we can do that work together. So fill out the application for Goal Body Coaching. I hope that this episode was helpful for you guys. As always, I love hearing from you guys about the show and what you loved in the episode. So feel free to DM me with 1L on Instagram and leave a review of the podcast, you guys. I'm at that point in the year where from a business perspective and all the things, knowing that what I pour into on things like the PodTube, knowing that it's helpful, that people are listening is what allows me to know to keep doing it and keep going. So if you've never left a review of the show and you get value from this, please leave an episode, leave a comment, and I would appreciate that so much. So thank you guys so much for listening. I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.